Welcome back to episode 3, and today we're talking about cream products. So it's going to be cream bronzers and blushes. I feel like people find it difficult to pick the right bronzer shade, and it's hard, right? So what I personally suggest is, how would I explain this? You want a shade that's not too warm for your skin tone, but you also want a shade that's not too cool and too ashy for your skin tone either. My personal favourite for similar skin tone to me, if that's you, is, I swear by this one. This is the Vive Cream Bronzer, and this is in the shade medium, although I do feel like I could go a little bit darker with this one, so we'll see. I like to go a little bit darker for my bronzer than I probably would normally, or maybe someone else would suggest. I love a very bronzed look, so I like to go heavy on the bronzer. This is my bronzer. She is used pretty much daily, and as you can see, you'd be like, Hannah, why's your lid like that? And I'm going to let you in on a little trick. Another one! So we're going to go right in with the brush in this cream bronzer. We're going to go right in there and get some on the brush. But then what I do with the lid is I tap off any excess just to make sure that it's all buffed into the brush like we did before on the hand, but using this little pot lid instead. Make sure it's all on there. Now for placement, what you're going to want to do is, you see where your cheekbone is, I like to go just a little bit higher than that, just so we're snatching everything and keeping everything up. This brush I'm using is from Spectrum. It's the Sculpting Foundation brush, and it's the perfect shape for this. So we're going to dab. We don't want any stroking in this makeup. No more of that, we're dabbing. So we're going to dab just up here on the cheekbone. And then also, to make it more seamless and more natural, we're going to go round the temple and onto the forehead. So in a C here. And then what you also want to do is, if you want a snatched jaw, is just go underneath here, and again make sure that we're dabbing, because also while you're dabbing you're blending everything together. Let's go in with some more. I'm just going to go in a little bit more. I'm going to go maybe to like the pupil is, like of the eye, round and then back under. And then if you do make a mistake and you do feel like maybe you've put a little bit too much on, make sure you go back with your foundation brush and just dab and all together. So we're starting to see some kind of definition on this side as opposed to this side. So let's just go in and do the same on this side. Okay, now time for cream blush. So I don't want you to overcomplicate blush, okay? If you see a blush colour that you like, pick it up and try it on. I'm sure it'll look great, okay? Make it work. A couple of cream blushes I like to use that are on rotation is, no surprise here, another Vive product, and this is in the shade Straub. I do love an e.l.f. cream blush as well. What shade is this one? This one is in the shade Dusky Rose. And then also, we cannot forget the one and only Rare Beauty. This is one of my favourite blushes. But I want to keep this look as kind of like affordable as possible. So I am actually going to go in with the e.l.f. blush today. Now for placement, we want to go a little bit higher than where we put the bronzer. And you want to start off by just tapping and getting a little bit of colour on there. And we're going to build on that just to see how much you like it. So we're a little bit higher than the bronzer. We're going to get a dense brush, and again we're going to tap, no stroking. We're going to tap this cream blush all the way out, keeping it as high as possible until it's worked into the skin. And there you can see that's giving me just a really nice flush of colour. I really like that actually. I don't think I'm going to go in too heavy with any more because we've got powders to go on top. And then again, the other makeup trick, if you feel like you've put a little bit too much on, or there's a little bit in an area that you don't think is quite right, go back in with your foundation brush and just dab that. And you can also just go over the top as well, and it just makes it all blend and all kind of come together more seamlessly. So that's it. We're getting through this, guys. That's our cream products done. Make sure to stay tuned for the powder products next. Welcome back to your new flawless makeup routine. I'm going to start with our powder bronzer. Now, this bronzer has a very special place in my heart, and honestly it's because my best friend Yaz gave it to me when we were doing our makeup, and I fell in love with it and she gave it me. So I love this bronzer so much. This particular one has sentimental value. And this is the Haus Labs bronzer, and this, I think they've changed the formula for this since I've got this, but this is Deep Level 9, and by looking at the shade of this, it might actually be a shade that I probably wouldn't have worn, like I probably thought would have been a little bit too dark, but trying something new, I found out that this works perfectly for me. And in having a deeper shade, I don't actually need as much, which is a winner, so then the product lasts longer. So what I like to use for this product is this angled brush. Now this is from MUA. I love this brush. Just gonna tap it in there, and then also I just dab it on your hand a little bit, just so you're not gonna go in with like really deep amount of bronzer. And again, we're gonna go in the same placement that we did before with the cream. Again, you want some really light tapping motions, just going up the cheekbone. Love it. And as you know, because I love being a bronze goddess, I am going to be taking this a little bit deeper and a little bit more intense, but you don't have to. So we're just going to go in exactly the same places that we did with the cream, and this is going to build it up and also set it in place too. Now another little tip, if you're not very good at eyeshadow, what you can do is just sweep some bronzer over the eyes. So you see where we went round here? If you just want to go in and go back and forth over the lid, just to create some definition, and it just creates a more seamless look. So you can only very slightly tell that I've got the bronzer on my eyelids compared to this one. It looks quite, there's just not much going on, there's not much depth, but it brings it all together. The bronzer as well, I also like to kind of like contour my nose a little bit. So what I'll use is like an eyeshadow brush that's like dense, and just go down either side of my nose, just really lightly. And this is the only time that you can really swipe. And then I just do a little bit on the end, just to try and give some lift to the tip of my nose. And then again with our foundation brush, I'm just going to go all over that just to blend it out a little bit more and make it less harsh. Okay, for our powder now, one tip that I would say is if you are particularly oily, before adding your blusher on next, because it can go a little bit funny, is getting your big fluffy brush and going in with your powder, with just a loose powder or your like setting powder, and just lightly dabbing all over your face just to set the creams in place, and that'll just help not making the powders from the bronzer or the blush go a little bit funny. Anyway, let's move on to powder blushes. So you will need a new brush for your powder blusher rather than your cream brush, just because if you've got any left it can make it all stick and it just won't look nice and seamless. My favourite blushes to use at the moment is one of these from MUA, and this is in the shade Dusky Rose. It's really nice, like light pink colour. Another couple of favourites, these ones from Kosas. So this is in the shade Adrenaline. Another Rare Beauty one, this is in the shade Happy. I actually really love this one too. This one's a really nice for when I'm going out, and this is in the shade Watermelon by MUA. We've got our new brush. We're just gonna tap in there and then tap off again any of the excess just on the lid. And then again, we want to go in the same kind of areas that we did with the cream blush, but I want you to tap and tap lightly because we don't want to look like clowns. So just tap, and it's just going to set everything, the cream blush in place, but also give a little bit more pigment. That's what we're looking for. Okay, nice, and it all just kind of seamlessly together. You can tell the difference between this side and this side, and the only difference is I've put powder blush on. It's insane. If you want more of a natural look, or you really love powder blush, sometimes you can add just a little bit onto the bridge of the nose, and again, it just bring everything together. Nice. Make sure you stay tuned for the next episode where we're setting our makeup in place and also setting spray.